Hi and welcome to Serenity Cove Crafts. My name is Linda and today we're going to make this little Christmas guy here. It's a gingerbread gumdrop Christmas cow. How cute, and look, I gave him a little bum to show you how to put a bum on your projects. Now I've been spending the past few weeks designing patterns for Etsy. I apologize for neglecting my YouTube channel, but these are just some of the guys that I've been making. There's Maurice the Monster. And this guy here, he's a winged evil demon cat. Okay. And look at this guy. I think he would, actually, the colors look like Deadpool to me, so it would be a Deadpool bunny. There. So I've got my creepy Halloween designs done. I have two more that I want to design. This cow is going to be a paid pattern, but after spending the past few weeks just writing patterns, I just couldn't face sitting down and having to write another pattern so soon. So you guys get this one for free. I'll shoot the tutorial. It was a lot less work than actually having to write and take pictures. Okay, so without further ado, what we're going to do here, now the colors that I use here for the body, this is kind of a cinnamon color and it's like a brick red, and I kind of wanted it to look like gingerbread, and I used Lion Brand Pound of Love. Ooh, pumpkin spice. My machines work really well with the Pound of Love, so that's one brand you'll see me using most of the time. That and Bernat Premium. Okay, so for this icing on the head, you're going to need some white yarn. For this one, I'm actually going to be putting icing on the tummy as well. Okay, so you're going to need a bit of red. I use Bernat Premium. Any shade of green you want. I use Bernat Premium. And let's see, I'm going to need just a tiny bit of dark brown just to do the nostrils here. See that? And let's see, yes, a glue gun. I will be gluing the eyes in. That's what I did for this one here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that you can do pretty much anything with the eyes. Now for this next one, I'm just going to use these black plain safety eyes. Now safety eyes have the posts on them, and that you use the backing to secure onto the animal. But in order to get the position that I really wanted with these eyes, I kind of had to sew the head closed first to get the exact one. The exact positioning. So that's why I don't really have a measurement for you if you're inserting your own. If you want to insert your own safety eyes, as we're making this, once you close up the head of the cow, your safety eyes are going to be about, let's see, they're going to be about 3 inches from the center top. I had a tiny interruption there. Yes, so I'm just using hot glue with these, so I won't be using the backings. But when you're using hot glue, you know, just use it, use it sparingly. It can get too easy to get carried away with the hot glue. Okay, so that is where we stand as far as supplies. Now for the tail, you're going to need a piece of cardboard or a box or something that is 2 inches. What I used for the tail is I just used, let's see, let's get the tape measure here. I was going to cut a piece of cardboard, but I had these pencils lying around. So I thought, why reinvent the wheel? Okay, so this is about 2 inches here. 2 inches in height. So what we will be doing is wrapping our 3 colors of yarn around here and tying it off, and we'll be attaching it to the tail. okay? But use what you can get. If you have a piece of Amazon cardboard box, cut it down 2 inches. If you want more fringe on the tail, then make it longer. But I just found this size kind of worked out. And that's just to show you that, you know, use what you have. You just use what you have. All right, so I'm just going to move this little guy over here. So yes, if you wanted to put your safety eyes on ahead of time, sorry, I did say 3 inches from the top, and it's about 2 inches apart from middle to middle, okay? What I did is with this cinnamon color, this pumpkin spice, I believe it's called, on my 46 pin Addi machine, I knit 100 rows. And then I cast off. And I cinched and tied the one end here. Okay. So now I'm going to cinch and tie the other end for you, just to show you quickly how it's done. Let me just see here. I'm going to zoom in a little for you. Okay. So when you've got a tube and you're closing it off, you're going to pull the end like so. So that's cinching. That is cinching. And what I want to do, okay, I go to this very last row here. You see this last piece of yarn? It's kind of here, this last row. You see these pieces here. This is what I'm picking up. Okay, so where I'm starting here, just thread this needle. You're going to be picking up these stitches, like so. You're just going till you get all the way to the end, back where you started. I'm trying a different camera angle here, so hopefully my chest and head don't end up in the frame. Oh boy. So I'll try glancing up every once in a while just to make sure I'm in frame still. Okay? So now I could tell when I've come back to where I started, because see, now you'll see the strands are doubled. Okay? So just going to go ahead now, pull this tight. We're going to cinch this all the way. Okay. I'm just going to tie this off a couple of times. So now we're just going to double our work. So to double your work, what you're doing is taking one end that you've closed and you're inserting it into itself. See that? So it looks like a beanie. If I were to flip this over, you'd have a small beanie. Okay? So now you're going with the outside edge. You're going to thread your needle. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm having issues. Okay. There we go. So I'm just inserting the needle through the center here, and I am going to exit on the inside. There we go. In the same spot, right in the middle. Right. So right now I have it inside out. I'm just going to tie these. Okay, now that's how I cinch and tie to secure things. Okay, so now that we have this tied up, we're just going to hide our ends inside the work. There we go. And I'm just kind of going between the two layers here. And there you go. Right. So now we're going to make 2 drawstrings. See, this should be long enough. I'm going to do the bottom first. And this particular piece is the head and the body. So we'll be doing a drawstring just to separate the head from the body. All right, so to do this open edge drawstring, kind of going at the end here, I pick up 2 stitches, skip over 1. I pick up 2, skip over 1, 2, skip over 1, and I do that all the way around. Okay, leave the tail end hanging. If you pull it too tight, you'll have to start over because that'll come undone. I learned from experience. Some of my projects, you know, some of them, even though I record them, they never make the light of day. I deem them to be flops. I won't say flops. I won't say failure because you know what? At least as long as you're trying. So it just goes to show you that, you know, not everything that we do like turns out. It's life. I mean, I have some grandiose ideas in my head, and then when I try to execute them, I just end up kind of ruining my vision, and it doesn't look anything remotely like my vision. So then it ends up, you know, in the reject pile, and it's something that maybe I can revisit down the road. So yeah, so I'm just, you know, just sharing that, like, we all we all learn we start learning somewhere, and sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes life just goes swimmingly. It's like green traffic lights all through your route. Easy sailing. Okay. Right, so I'm over to where I started. For the last ones, I have to pick up 3. That's fine. Okay. All right. So we're going to be inserting one over here. I just want to take the measurement from the top. The top center and the bottom center, those will always be our guidelines. You know, you put the legs on either side of the center, and the same thing with the ears. So this helps, you know, help us align our project. So you'll see me going right to the top here. All right. So we're looking at about 10.5 inches. So 5 1/4 would be half, and I think, what do we think? I think maybe we can go, well, maybe go 4 inches. 4 inches sounds good. Just right around here. I use these excess needles, yarn needles. I just use them as stitch markers. I'm just going to map out my path here. Right. So I need some more of this yarn to make the drawstring. All right. So to do the drawstring here, so I'm going to do it here. I like to pick it up and hold it in my hand, kind of like so. I'm going to grab the 2. Oops. Go back in. Okay, so I've got the 2 stitches here. I'm going to skip over 1, grab the next 2. Skip over, grab the next 2, skip over, go. All right, I'm just going to do this all the way around. All right, so I'm going to leave you to do that, and I'll be back once I've reached this end. All right, so I'm back where I started. I've got this drawstring made. So next what we're going to do is stuff the head portion. Just don't be too stingy with the stuffing. All right. Now this stuffing that I'm using, it's polyfill, the official polyfill, and that it's so smooth and soft. It's not as difficult to work with as some that I've mentioned in the past. I'm finally done with those. Okay, so once you've got your head stuffed, don't worry if there's some stuffing that's below where a drawstring is, that's fine. Okay, so I'm just single tying it right now, just so I can get an idea of whether or not I should add more stuffing. Okay. Now, you'll see with this guy here, see I didn't tie his neck too small, like so. I left him a little bit of a chunky neck. So, and you would achieve that, you would control how big your neck area is just by how much you tighten this. Okay, you tight, 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 tight. You're going to be giving him a smaller neck. But actually in this case, I think I kind of like that size. Just going to go ahead and tie this. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to hide the ends inside the work. Okay, so I'm just hiding it anywhere. Okay. Hang on to the end pieces, use them as stuffing. It's a good little recycling tip. Okay. So you just smush, you'll see there's that much of a hole. So I can still smush more stuffing in if I find that I need to. But I'm thinking that that's pretty good. So now that that's tied off, I'm just going to stuff the rest of the body. Now I wanted him to be a little chunky, but I think this is too chunky. I'm going to have to take some of his stuffing out of him. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. All right. Another thing that you could do that I would suggest that you do, that I did not do, is double strand the yarn on the end piece here, the drawstring that you've made. If you double it, it will withstand a lot better when you're closing this. See, now we don't want to pull too tight. We don't want this to break. And don't worry, there is a bit of an opening down here. We'll sew that closed. All right, so I just thread the needle with the tail ends, and I'm just working my way across here. And see, that takes care of it. Now we're just going to Just going to tie it again. Okay, let's go ahead and hide the tail ends. So you've got that tied off. Okay, so now we just kind of smush him around. See, and we still have that little opening inside, so you can move some of the stuffing to the head if you want to balance it out. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so that's going to be my guy here. This will be the front. Yeah, he's got a big old snowman belly, but that's okay. So that'll be the front. Okay, so now for the legs. So I've got 3 of these knit. All right. So with this, now you make 4 of them on the 22 pin machine. Cast on with brown, knit 4 rows, change over to white, knit 3 rows, and then change back to the brown and do 23 rows. So you've cast off, you cinch and tie both ends. Got that? Now you're going to notice, if you look closely, where you do your color change. Let's find it here, right here. Okay, so when you do a color change, you're going to see this kind of like, it looks like a little step. Okay, so what I like to do is to make sure that that part ends up in the middle when I fold it. Okay, so right now we're just going to double the work. Okay, so we're going in the middle, coming out this end. Just move the camera over a bit, and there we go. Okay, this tied off. So go ahead and hide your ends inside the work. Flip it back, right side out. Okay. And there's that step piece I was talking about. I'm just going to grab a little bit more. I needed a longer piece of this. That's why I didn't use the tail ends. Needed it to be a little longer. Okay. So go ahead and get yourself a long piece of yarn, same color. I'm just going to zoom in for this. All right. So now we're going to fold this in on itself, like so. And line up your stripes. And this color change spot, see what I mean? It's in the middle, so it won't be apparent. So to match your stitch, I'm going to select a row on this side. I'm going to go down this row right here. And I'm going to select the row. It's right across from it. These are just my little stitch markers, just so I keep on track. There's some of my hair in here, some of the dog's hair. It's a crafty household. There we go. Oh my goodness, okay, I think that's knit in there. All right. So to match your stitch, just follow the row you've selected. and pick up 2 stitches. See that? Pull your needle through, leave a tail end here. So we're on this side. Now I'm going over to this side, doing the same thing, grabbing 2. This hair is driving me nuts. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, so you just keep on going till you get all the way to the end. Hang on a second here. Make sure I'm in the same row. There we go. Okay. So you just keep going till you reach the end. See, I'm just digging that row out, looking for it. There it is. Okay. Okay, just release your needle. You're going to go ahead, grab each end of your yarn here. I'm just going to pull. Just going to pull that closed. Okay. Actually, I'm going to pull this so that the longer end's over here. I'll use the longer end to sew onto the body. Okay, hide the one end. All right, so we've got the legs made. So now to sew your leg on, just push the inside in. So we'll be sewing on the outer edge. All right. So find what you've established to be your front of your animal. There we go. Just zooming out a bit. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, you can see where the mattress stitch is here. I'm going to be sewing that onto my cow. You see how we place everything? Everything is, we kind of use the center to measure everything and to gauge where we're going to put things. Okay, put the legs, put the arms. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to sew this here. The other one will be over here. I just wanted to show you how to do this. So I'm trying not to hug it to myself so that I can show you. Demonstrate in this direction. Okay, so just grabbing a couple of stitches from over here and a couple from the bottom of the leg. There we go. And as I'm going along, I'm going to be pulling it and then just checking to make sure that I am still following the path that I've decided to follow. Okay. Now, it's not really a mattress stitch because I'm grabbing, you know, more than just a couple of stitches here, but I am sewing it on that way. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Okay, just making sure that it's still in line. All right, and one stubby little leg. Okay, so just gonna go ahead and tie this off. All right, so you're gonna do this with the other leg. And just the opposite side. I'm going to sew my other leg on, and then I will be back for the arms. All right, I'm back. I've got my two legs on and one arm. So you're going to sew the arm on the same way as the leg. Okay, from the neck that we have to the end of the arm is about, you know what, let's say about 1.5 inches here. Right. So I'm going to try to position the other one in the same manner. Okay, so there's my mattress stitching here. This is the front of my cow, so the stitching I'm going to put towards the back here. So this one you're not going through, you know, like all these bunches that you had between the legs. So you'll be able to do more of a truer mattress stitching here. Okay, there we go. And as always, as you're going along, just make sure that you check to see if you're still on course. And I'm just trying to do this so that it shows up in the camera. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going till I get around, and I'll be back with the next step. All right, I'm back. So I've got my two little arms on and two little legs. So now for this is the snout area. So his nose. Let's see here. So it's going to go over like so. That. We'll be putting some stuffing in there. So with this, I did the small machine, the 22 pin, 14 rows, and then I cast off. Now I cinched and tied both ends, and I hid one end inside the work. I left this tail long. We'll be using this to sew it onto the face. All right. So your nose here is going to be, one of the main attractions on the face. So you're going to want to make sure that we get it nice and straight. And if you have your arms straight, just kind of look and let's see. That looks pretty good. Just going to start sewing, and then we'll be stuffing as we go along. It's just going to go over here. Tie it, try to sew it on as neatly as you can. Right. So it's important to keep checking. Just make sure that you're still lined up. And here's an actual. Lost my place. There we go. So we'll keep going till we get around this corner and over to here. Leave a gap so we can stuff, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay. I think he's looking good. Now I've sewn up to about, I've left about 1.5 inches gap here. And then I've just started inserting some stuffing. Okay. All right, what do you think? I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's just sew it up. And as you're pulling, as you're going along, to help smooth out your mattress stitching. Okay, so I will be back with the ears, okay, once I'm done this. All right, so I'm back. Now with the ears, you're going to knit 2 of them in your brown. And cast on, knit 12 rows, cast off. You're going to cinch and tie one end, hide the end. Okay, so now you're left with this. Okay, I'm going to cinch this slightly, not all the way. Right? Go ahead and thread your needle. Now you're going to see that this wants to curve inward. So go ahead, just going to kind of fold that in half. Over here where you have the tail end. This is going to be the outside of the ear. This will be sewn to the head. Okay. So all I'm doing now is I'm just going to do like a little quick whip stitch just to sew this closed. So I'm just kind of looping around like so. Okay, so it's closed off. Right. So now as far as the placement, okay, so I kind of use the arms and legs as guides. All right, so your ear's going to be lined up here. The pinched in edge that we sewed, that gets sewn on top like so. Okay, so it'll be on this side. Okay, so this is still threaded. Okay, gotta make sure that we have it where we want it to be. Maybe like that. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and sew the ear to the head. Okay. Let's check, check, check. Right. Right. So go ahead, and so what I did here is I sewed along the top. Right. Now, when I'm over at this edge, gonna flip this little guy over. So I've got the top sewn, and I like to go around and do the same underneath. Okay, before I do that, I just want to take a look. What do you think? I think he's cute. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how I did that. I just, continue sewing. Right, that should just about do it. All right, I can see his personality starting to shine through a little. All right, so we've got these on. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to actually start building his face. I'm just turning on my glue gun, getting ready for that. Now I've got some dark brown yarn here. I'm going to use it to embroider the nose holes. The nostrils, rather. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I insist on doing these on a Saturday night. Okay. Now when you're embroidering, what you want to do is find an entry point. So you're always thinking one step ahead. Let's see if I can zoom this in for you here. So I'm just going to enter through here. Now, where am I going to want these nostrils? Let's see here. And then I can just tell if I'm, what do you think? Okay, well, I'll do this one first. It is lined up. Okay, so I'm going to want my nostril ends like to be towards the edge here, okay? Not the nostril ends, the nostril yarn. Okay, so now you're guiding this. You're coming out. You're going to push the needle until you get to where you want that stitch to start. Okay, so this is our entry. This is also our exit. So we have an exit strategy here. Okay. So you're always planning your next step, the step ahead of the next one. So I'm going to want this to go down to about here. What do we say? 1, 2, in the third row. So I'm going to want to complete this stitch, but what I'm doing first is I'm guiding my needle to where I want to start the stitch on this side. Okay, now that I've found where I want it to go, with the other hand, I'm just guiding the yarn. Don't pull tight. You'll pucker up the face if you do. Okay, so that's it. It's just a little line. Now we're over here, going to do the same over here. And go 1, 2, go 3. Now, this is where I'm entering to make this stitch, but I need to now plan my exit. Okay, so we're going to take the needle. You're going to come out in the exact same hole you went in on. Okay, and now with this hand, guide, guide, guide. Don't pull too tight. There you go. So we've guided that nostril into place. You can go ahead and tie it off. Now if you have to undo it, just gently pull the yarn out and then start over. Now, I've entered and exited the same hole. So now I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm not tying it tight. I don't want these to pucker. So go ahead and rethread your needle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hide our tail ends, and we are going in this exact same hole. Okay, I'm just going to exit somewhere else. Be mindful of pulling. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, if you do that and you still see like a little bit of your brown yarn, excuse me, you can always just poke at it. Poke at it until the brown part goes in. But otherwise, smush it around and you shouldn't see that entry point. All right, so my glue gun should almost be hot enough to go ahead and do the eyes. Now, like I said before, I'm not using the backing, the safety eyes. Just these black, and this one just the black solid eyes. Here I used this kind. Okay. And you can also embroider. So I'm just trying to position to see where I want my eyes to be. Let's see here. So I don't want them, towards the edges of the snout. Just wiggle around here. Try to stretch this hole a little bit. Okay. Now this is where I'm going to want this. I think. Nope. This guy has to go down a little. All right, let's see. Moved him down and over. How's he look to you? I think that looks good. Okay. Now with my glue gun, just going to use just the tiniest amount of hot glue. A little bit, oops, a little bit on the top. And be careful you don't burn yourself. I say this as I burn myself. That's how I remember today's safety tip. There we go. And just make sure that you pull those little hot glue strands or the cobwebs. Okay, so got that one. This one. See, normally when I do one of these, I'll do the face almost right away. But lately I find that I want to see what their personality is going to be. I've got my eyes glued on, and I thought maybe we could try putting an eyebrow in. Okay. Now, one thing to know, we're going to embroider actually the same way we did this. Now, when you're looking at eyebrows, the expression, for example, if your eyebrow were to go like this, it would give the illusion, like the appearance of anger. Okay. This is Christmas. We don't want anger. If we reorient it this way, it looks more like surprise. Okay. So I wanted to try going ahead and putting some eyebrows. Okay, so I'm going to start over here on the edge. Now I am going to, let's see, I think I'll have the eyebrow go to here. So it's pretty much level with the middle of the eye. Okay. Leave your tail end. Okay. I'm thinking maybe about here, lined up with the center of the eye. And then I will do the same thing over here. Has to go up a little higher though. There we go. Okay. Gentle, gentle. There we go. Do you like the eyebrow? Okay, tell you what, I'm going to leave the eyebrow for this one. And now I just need to ensure that I get this about the same distance. Okay. Now I'm just going to guide my needle out through this same hole. While doing so, I'm guiding this last stitch. Okay. Actually, he needs a little bit more glue, but how does that look? Let's see. Okay, here we go. I think he's cute. So that's how you play around with expressions. And if you pull too tight, which is what I just did over here, and it pulled this, puckered that. Okay, we're good now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hide tail ends here. Tie them, not tight. Right. Right. Gentle, gentle, gentle. All right. So when you cut, just smush your project down and pull at this. And that, once you release it, see, it helps to hide where you were. Okay. There we go. Actually kind of looks like a moose, doesn't he? Okay. So next we are going to be doing some of the icing. Now for the icing, I did 2. I used white and I knit 25 rows, cast off, cinched and tied both ends. I hid the one tail end inside the work. And this is going to be used to sew it on. Now let's see, for the head, I did the other one differently. So I'm trying to do this one just with a 22 pin. All right. Okay, so I've got a long strand of white. Now we're still using this, so just kind of tuck that out of the way if you can. Go ahead and thread your needle with some white yarn. Right. So what I want to do now is I just want to make these little divots in the icing. Okay. So let's see. Okay, this will be the outside. So once you decide which end you're going to want for your outside, then you just take the inside part, just go somewhere, insert your needle in like so. See that? Pull the needle through, leave this tail end. Hang on to that. Hang on to it with your thumb. And, okay, so go ahead, release your needle. And we're going to tie this off. Okay. See? So we're getting a little nice bumpy look to it. Just going to hide the ends. So I want to do this one more time on this side. And as I'm doing it, don't know if it'll even make a difference, but I'm pulling at the piece here to stretch it out. Okay. So we'll just quickly do the rest. Okay. I'm going to want the other one. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to insert the needle, kind of like so. Pull that through. Loop around. And when you're tying, you're going to want to try to get your knot here to stay inland, because it's going to want to roll to the edge. Okay. So then you just keep doing it. Keep on going. So we're going to do a couple on this side. By leaving this hanging, I can look at a quick glance and tell what's the back, which is the back side or the underneath. Have some here. Go ahead, release the needle. Tie it off. Right, and one more piece. And when we're sewing this on, we're going to be stretching it out as well. All right. So go ahead, do your last knot, hide your tail ends inside your work, and I'll be right back. All right. So I've got my ends hidden. I've rethreaded the tail end here. Stretch this out. So we're going to want this to be pretty much, zoom out here for you. Just going to be putting it over the head, and it should fit between your ears, right? If you needed to know, your ears are about 2 inches from the top center, a little more, 2.5 inches, right? So go ahead and start sewing this on, and I'm going to stretch it as I'm going along. Okay. This. Okay. So I'm just going to start sewing this on. I'm going to try to follow, you know, these bumps and divots here. And while I'm sewing, especially when you get to the front middle one, you want to really concentrate on pulling that. See, so it kind of looks like icing. It's dripping down his head. All right. If your tail end isn't long enough, just go ahead, hide your end, and then just kind of match your stitch with just a loose piece of yarn. Let's see. Just try to stick that in. There we go. I'm just remembering to stretch this out as you're going. So I just wanted to show you how to sew the icing on. Now it's going to be a little different than the one that will be on the belly, just for the simple fact that that one won't be stretched out. This one I deliberately wanted it to stretch. So now I'm going to be guiding my needle this way. Right here. As I go around. Okay, so you go ahead and sew around. Once you get over here, tie it off, and then we'll put the gumdrop horns on the head. All right, I'm back, and so I've got this icing sewed on, and I have one of his little gumdrop antlers, or horns rather. Okay. So for the horns, I did one in green and one in red. And I used just any kind of green. This happens to be I believe it's called hot lime. Okay. Go with any Christmas colors you want. It's your project. Okay. So I did 6 rows on my 22-pin machine. I cast off. I cinched and tied one end, and I hid the tail inside my work. So now that leaves me with 6 rows, yes. Okay, so I've got this open end. Okay, so it's not cinched completely. Okay. Now it does have a tendency to want to roll inwards, so we are going to use this to our advantage. So go ahead and roll the horn, like so. Just get in here. Okay, so I've got my tail end threaded. Okay. And it's pulled. Okay. So go ahead and fold that into itself, like so. Okay. Now with your tail end, you're just going to sew this. Just going to sew this gumdrop closed. Sew any way you want. Nothing fancy here. Just going to knot it once. Okay. All right. Now for the horns. I'm just putting them. There's the top view. Zoom out here. Okay. Right here. I'm thinking. Yes, right about here. Okay. All right. Okay, so you get the idea. Right. Let's go ahead and tie off your tail end. Okay, go ahead and hide this inside your work. There he goes. All right, so now for the other piece of icing. What I knit again 25 rows of white, then I cast off. Now I want this piece to have this like this look, like 3 bunches here. So you cinch and tie off both ends. Okay. Just dealing with a knot. There we go. All right. So I'm going to take the longer piece and hang on to that. The shorter piece, I'm just going to hide inside the icing here. So we're going to bunch this into 2. So we're going to do 2 ties, which will give us 3 bumps. All right. So what I like to do is just, okay, have it kind of laying down like this. So if I can zoom in. And we're just going to kind of like fold it up like so. See that? Just kind of folded like so. Okay. And let's see. Try to divide them into 3 equal parts as close as you can. So grab some white yarn. We're going to tie this. Tie it where you pinched it off. Right. While trying to maintain this folded shape for now. Okay. So there's one piece. I'm going to do the same here. Right. There we go. I think I'll move this over a little, actually. A little closer to this end here. Okay. All right. So I'm tying a knot. Now let's go ahead and hide these tail ends. Not the long one at the end. That we'll be using to sew the icing on. Okay. And we're getting there. We're almost done. Almost. Kind of, sort of. There we go. Right. So I have not done this yet. So let's see the vision in my mind. Okay, there's the cut end. Or not the cut end, but the end where I tied my knots. So that will be facing inwards like so. And see, we just kind of poof them out. So it looks like a little snowman or 3 marshmallows. Looks like 3 marshmallows. Okay. I'm going to sew it right down the middle here. And when you're sewing it, you're going to be pulling this out because you want these nice little tuxedo shirt look. See? Okay. So I'm just going to start up here. I'll just start sewing at this end. And it's awkward because his nose is in the way. You want to kind of sew it like right almost where your neck drawstring is. And then once you have at least tacked in place, now, see that? Now you can start sewing around. I just want to check, make sure I'm kind of straight still. There he goes. So we're going to do like what we did for the icing on the head. We're going to be sewing around. Well, in this case, we're actually, sewing further out than we did with that. Okay, so you get the idea. Go ahead. Just keep checking it. Try to sew it on as straight as you can. And once I've gone all the way around, I'll be back. All right, so I've got my icing sewed on. Sewn on. I don't know if I said sewed or sewn. Oh, God help me. Okay, so for these gumdrop little buttons, sort of, going down, there'll be one in each segment. I already have the green ones made up. So basically you're doing whatever color combination you want, actually. For this one, I did 2 red gumdrops and a green one here. This one I'm going to do 2 green and a red. Now, from the time I did this this one to this one, I actually shortened the size of the rose so that the candy doesn't stick out as much. All right, so making these, this is done the exact same way as the horns, okay? It's just it's going to be a little harder to handle because we've only knit. So with this one, I did 2 green, 1 red. So these are 4 rows each. So they're 4 little rows. So that's why they're going to be a little bit of a pain to work with. It's fine. This is where I cast off. There. Okay. So as long as I keep an eye on where that is, I can work with the other. So the other end is here. This is my cast on end. Okay. So I'm going to pull this. The end here, the cast on end, likes to curl outwards. So you're just going to have to maneuver it. Try to get those curls to go inwards and see. See that? I've got control. I've got control. I never have control. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this end and tie it. So I'm just tying off just very, very basic and simple. So now I still have this end threaded. Okay. Just going to cinch this most of the way. And look, it should be like a little clown nose. So what we're going to do, we're just going to sew this end. So you're just going to sew it the way you sewed the one for the horns. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to tie these 2 ends. I'm going to keep the longer end. So this end I'm going to hide. Okay. So for this, I'm going to have the red in the middle and then the green ones on either side. Alrighty. There we go. Okay. Find the center of your middle poof. It's a poof. I don't know what it's called. Okay. And if you've done this right, your candy should be smaller than this. See that? So we're just going to sew it on so that it appears as though there are these gumdrops sitting in the middle of the icing. Right. So you get the idea. Go ahead, sew all the way around, and then tie this off and hide your ends inside your cow or the red part. Okay, and go ahead and sew your green ones. The greens were done the exact same way, 4 rows. All right, and then we'll be back to start working on that tail. Almost done. All right, I went ahead and cheated. I used the hot glue gun to put these 2 ones down, and this one I sewed. But what do you think? I think it actually looks better with the icing than without. What do you think? All right, so put this aside. Now we are going to make the tail. Now for the tail on the 22 pin, cast on with the brown, go ahead and knit 20 rows, cast off, cinch and tie both ends. Hide one of the tail ends. So go ahead, and then this is where we're at. So you're going to see it wants to roll inwards. So we're just going to roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll, roll, roll. Just try to get it in here, just so it doesn't unravel on me. Okay. Okay, so this end of the tail. Just going to mattress stitch along the edge. Leave yourself a tail here. I like to tuck it under my work. Okay. So go ahead and sew across here, and then I will meet you for the rest of the tail. Okay, I'm done sewing the tail. So I'm just tying off the end here. Okay, and going to hide this in the work. And I left this tail end from the mattress stitching. I left that so that I could sew it to his behind. Okay, so let's see. Just gonna hide these. I'm sorry, I always think that I'm popping in and I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick 25-minute tutorial. No problem. Even when my pieces are knit ahead of time. I guess I just like being with you guys. I don't know. Okay. Now we're going to do the fun part. The butt crack. The butt crack. Okay. You ever done a butt crack? Go ahead and get yourself a decent length of yarn. I've got maybe a couple of feet. Okay. So, I want the butt cheeks to be on the back side. So, what I'm going to do, he keeps rolling on me. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is actually going to zoom out. Okay. I told you the center top and center bottom are important for us. This is where we're going to be inserting the yarn to make a butt crack. So go right on in there. Okay. And keep it as straight as I can. Okay. So I'm going to come up. Let's say, oh, I moved my tape measure. All right. So I would say that's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, a good 4 inches from the bottom. So go ahead, I'm going to pull this through. Leave yourself a tail end. Okay, let me look. Actually, in that case, I think he's crooked. Let's see. How's that? That looks straighter. Okay. Okay. So go follow the rule that you went through. Just kind of go along. I'm going to grab this and we're going to reinsert it into the bottom. And I'm going to try to get it out near the same hole. Okay. Go ahead, release your needle. You know, right now he's just getting a wedgie. Okay. Go ahead. Pull. Pull, 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 pull. Pull, pull. Look at that. Look at that. He's got junk in his trunk. Look at that. Oh, I love it. So what I'm actually going to do, I can release this for a second. Okay, we've got to rethread this. Who'd ever think that I'd be happy over butt cracks? Okay. Actually, we're just going to take this and meet it up with the middle. Okay. So then now, pull as much or as little as you'd like. And I just figured out how to do this. That's why you haven't seen bums before. But now you just brace yourself. You're going to see a lot of bums from me. Now that I know how to make a butt crack. Oh, goodness. So I wanted to get the butt crack in there first before we attach the tail. Okay, go ahead. Hide your hands. Okay, I'm just going to kind of stand them up so I can see. Oh, yeah. It's a nice hefty butt. Okay, so grab your tail here that you have. We're just going to sew it. Put your mattress stitching face down. We're going to sew this above the butt crack. So, nothing fancy, nothing special. I know, you hear me say that all the time. The last thing I would want is for you to be frustrated. Easy peasy. And if something doesn't turn out, that's all right. You learn and you make it better next time. Or you take it apart and start over. Or you just pitch a massive fit. And that works sometimes too. doesn't fix your mistakes, but it gets the stress out. Right. Okay, so I'm going to continue sewing this off camera. And then we're going to use something that's at least 2 inches deep to wrap the yarn around to make this little tassel for the back of the tail. Okay, so go ahead and get your 3 colors of yarn and cardboard or something to wrap it around, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back. Got the tail sewn on. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to do the tassels. If you don't want to do the multicolored, just go ahead and do the gingerbread brown color. It's up to you. Okay, sit in here. Alright, so take your 3 colors of yarn. That's the red gumdrop color, the green gumdrop, and the brown of the cow. Okay. Try to get a little bit of slack, hold them together. Okay, so what we're going to do is, okay, so we're going to wrap this, we're going to aim for 30 times, or sorry, 20 times. Okay, we go 1, 2, 3. And there we go. There's 20. Just going to cut it. So now I have some brown yarn here. Just going to put it through the needle just so that I can get it under here. Okay, let's see. I'll use this end. Okay, so go ahead and get your brown yarn. You're just passing it under here. We still haven't cut this yet. You just want to get this piece in. Okay, let's go ahead, tie, 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 tie. All right, so now, actually going to take this off. I lost my pencil, there we go. So now, okay, these are the brown ends I tied. Okay. Now if you're using a cardboard is really flexible and it's easy to just get your scissors under and cut them while they're still wrapped around your cardboard. It's not so easy with this box of pencils. So I'm just finding the middle here and I'm just cutting. Go ahead, cut these hoops. You're not a hairdresser. Well, maybe you are, but I'll go on the assumption that you're not a hairdresser and therefore you don't know how to cut straight. Okay. And that was a sloppy job. That's all right. Trim, trim. Just keep playing with it. Just hold like that. And there. All right, so go ahead and flip your guy over. So you should still have the two tail ends here. So go ahead and thread one of the ends. It's like a cheerleader pom-pom. We can do this, yes we can. Okay, so we're going to lay your tail flat. Just gonna go in here like so. Just going through the bottom. Hanging on to this end as well. Okay. Going to do. Now you can sew it indifferently if you want. You could go around several times with the needle. So there. So now I just have to cut these two down. Okay. There he is. So, well, my friend, once again, our journey has come to an end. And I'm going to try not to neglect my YouTube channel too often. Like I said, I've been busy with Etsy and recording the tutorials for that and writing the patterns. So, until next time, actually, what I did want to mention is that to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and if you like my tutorials, you can go ahead and share it as well. There we go. And leave me a comment. Drop me a note. I like to read the comments. Now, I'm going to have to remember to put the row count down in the description. So just click the more button and you should be able to view the pattern. Okay. So until next time, my friend, take care and be well.